Man, you gotta understand that's his fighter. You know, he's gonna say anything that he can.
You have to realize that's his fighter, man. You can be sure he will say anything to make it seem more significant. He and his squad both know that man lost. The epic battle between Israel Medramov and Terrence Crawford is now remembered as one of the most contentious events of the year. On points, Terrence Crawford prevailed, but here's the juicy part. The judges were mistaken. Being the face of boxing, it should come as no surprise that the judges will do all in their power to give you the victory. To put it mildly, Eddie Hearn, our guy, isn't too thrilled about this. Eddie Hearn will not stand by and watch while his fighter puts in all the effort and does not receive the victory he deserves because Madrimov fights under Matchroom, which is Hearn's company. Eddie Hearn chose the wrong man to meddle with, though, because Terrence Crawford's next move drove the fight community into a frenzy. During the build-up to this bout, things between Eddie and Bud were already getting heated. But now that Eddie Hearn was disparaging Crawford's victory, Bud resorted to more extreme tactics to silence him. After the bout, the two men met Pats backstage, and Terrence Crawford wasted no time in unleashing vicious fury on Eddie Hearn. Crawford wasn't content to simply slap him, rather, he was using the same strikes he used on Madrimov in the ring. Crawford had him fairly good. Eddie Hearn's situation would have been far worse if it weren't for the security. However, you can't hold Eddie responsible for presenting the facts, yes. The facts, as that is what made him deserving of a beating. I mean, I can hoops, and I still probably hoop better than you do. That's all there is to it. I'm not better than me at nothing and talking. Speaking, you have a lot to say. You're not superior to me in any way, shape, or form. There's nothing, Das. Eddie Hearn didn't hold back when he discussed the events that transpired in the ring today. The top boxer in the pound-for-pound division, Terrence Crawford, was almost defeated by a man who had only fought 10 professional bouts. Saying that LeBron nearly lost to a high school player is equivalent. Grave shadow. Crawford's abilities were put to the test by Israel Madrimov, who exposed some significant flaws. Eddie Hearn is now drawing attention to this fact. Pros and fans alike agree that Crawford should have at least drawn, as he narrowly avoided defeat. Really near to the main event. Of course, I heard myself. There are two 115 to 113s and one 116 minus 112. I didn't know that. Israel Madrimov, in my opinion, did just enough to win tonight. Whether you believe in dethroning the champion or not, I am aware that this is a common issue. I'm not certain. Tonight, in my opinion, Bud Crawford overthrew Israel Madrimov. However, we are incredibly proud of him. After 10 battles, we're still arguing over whether he prevailed over the top fighter in terms of pound for pound. We think we could have won the battle, but experience would have changed everything, possibly a little bit higher work rate. Terrence Crawford deserves respect. He is a fantastic fighter. Nothing against him, but I was really let down that Crawford was given the opportunity to go to the final 4 rounds by one of the judges in particular. Crawford was given 3 of the final 4 rounds by the other 2 judges, and I felt that the outcome may have been different. Terrence is not the danger that everyone has painted him as. Things started to heat up in the final 4 rounds. While Madrimov was assembling Bud, what happens? Bud was awarded the final 4 rounds by one of the judges. That's crazy, especially considering Crawford's corner was yelling at him during the previous round that he needs to win to avoid losing. However, it's similar to the time when a large number of people, possibly not as many as Crawford, thought Madrimov had also won, and a large number of people scored it as a draw. As a champion, I was just let down that he received no respect on the scorecards. Crawford was awarded the final 4 rounds by a judge. The silence was palpable in Crawford's corner as the other 2 judges awarded Crawford 3 of the final 4 rounds. He was sent out for that 12th round. Eddie Hearn was making sure everyone was aware of what had happened, so Crawford had to intervene to clarify the record. See what Bud had to say following his criticism by Eddie Hearn. You have to realize, man, that's his fighter. You can be sure he will say anything to make it seem more significant. He and his squad both know that man lost. The ironic thing is that even Bud admits he didn't deserve to win. Have any of you seen his post-fight interview? A true champion does not speak like that. Since Bud hasn't entered the ring with a competitor that truly gave him a run for his money in a long time, he offered Madrimov his roses. I felt fantastic. Honestly, it wasn't any different than 147. As far as we were aware going in, Israel was just a formidable foe. My right hand wasn't irritating me, and I wasn't really concerned about it. At the end of the round, he landed a few times in an attempt to stay in the game, but I was just trying to counter him. He had a solid strategy in place at the same time. I was only trying to predict when he would arrive because he was really cunning. I was frequently in error. I was giving him a quick jab. During the entire fight, I believe my jab was giving him a thrashing. Though it wasn't anything I hadn't seen before, he did land a few right hands that were instructive for the judges and the audience. Mike Tyson, Terrence Crawford's close buddy, attended the historic battle live, so you can only imagine how disappointed he was to see the heavyweight legend walk out of the arena before the bout even finished. Yes, what Tyson saw did not sit well with him. Mike maintained his composure and sidestepped the subjects when asked who he felt would win. How do you feel? Did you put up a good fight with it? Hey, nice to meet you. Who do you think will win? Because the winner hasn't been declared yet. How's the instruction going? Ryan Garcia was honest. He launched into a full-fledged tirade, trash-talking Terrence Crawford without holding back. But believe me, after hearing what happened with Eddie Hearn after he spewed shit about Bud, Garcia might reconsider speaking out loud. You do not want to wind up at odds with Terrence Crawford. He has a talent for making others second-guess what they say. Crawford is worthless. Never again will Crawford be compared to Canelo. Young Triple G deserves praise. He accomplished what he did. He seemed to have at least a draw. The judges are bizarre people. You guys are bad. You're not pound for pound, Crawford. You never really fought anyone well, sucka. You battled Spence, who was involved in a car accident. Devin Haney shared his candid opinions about the fight, and oddly, Haney found Bud's performance to be impressive. Terrence Crawford might defeat Canelo Alvarez, he even claimed. I think that's a little unrealistic at this point. At 154, Crawford is doing well, right? Yes, the little side. Crawford, you're putting on weight, but you're still Crawford. He's carrying the load. If he were in there with Canelo, based on what you're seeing right now, that would be 2 more weight classes up, depending on where he comes in, like 160, 168. Crawford is just Crawford. Standing firm, Lomachenko declared that Madrimov ought to be the winner. Madrimov's performance astounded him much, and he thought he had done enough to win that bout. Extremely close battle. Did you predict that Israel would win? It was an extremely clever and fascinating fight. What if I compared our fight to mine with Haney? Madrimov won a lot of things. Therefore, winning the title suffices. Let's now hear what Israel Madrimov, the major man, had to say about his defeat. Madrimov raised his head. Even though he may have lost on paper, he is unquestionably the winner in the eyes of the people. We don't witness a man like Terrence Crawford barely making it through every bout. Madrimov made sure this one was unlike the others. I had a nice feeling. I thought I accomplished enough, and I was proud of myself. As Eddie has pointed out, Spence is excellent. He's among the greatest in the world, pound for pound. He is a difficult opponent. He defeated Spencer and the other 9 opponents in his final 10 fights. It didn't seem like the hardest fight I had ever had. In my opinion, I simply demonstrated in this battle why it was simple to win the World Championship belt in my last fight, why I am a champion, and why I should be a champion. However, they must run it back because the blood could not be cooler right now. Eddie Hearn will see to it that the rematch takes place in order to exact revenge on Terrence Crawford. Hearn is not the kind of person who tolerate rudeness, so when Crawford assaulted him, it